There we go. My bad, I'm a little late, but happy Friday to everybody, man. Y'all know what time it is. Wake that ass up. Washington Commanders Morning Show starting right now. Let's get to it.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down.
I just appreciate everybody
watching. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
There we go. You should look alive. Look alive, man. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Welcome in to the Trap or Dive Morning Show. Watch the Commanders Morning Show. You know what time it is, man. I'm your host, Molly Mo. Let's go ahead and get this thing started, man. Happy Friday to everybody. And shout out to everybody whose weekend started before Friday. But shout out to you all. Hey, man, preseason is over with. Finally. Well, after tomorrow, our preseason is over with, man. Finally. So I can't wait. We're a couple weeks away. Less than what? I think we're under 20 days now. Probably like 2-week marker, I would say. So look, man, hey, shout out to everybody. Shout out to the NFL, man, because when football starts, you know, it's just light speed from then on, man. So what's going on, Rich? So yeah, let's go ahead and tap into it. Let's get the administrative item out of the way. If you are new to the Trap or Dive podcast, Trap or Dive channel, all that good stuff, man, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It is appreciated. I will be opening up the floor to anybody and everybody soon. I don't know if the YouTube link is in the description, but I'll just send it out to the chat. Anybody that wants to partake in a conversation, you know what I'm saying? I get the floor to anybody and everybody. Yeah, man, but on the show today, we will be talking about some Ravens conversations, obviously, and then Commanders and Ravens and who needs to have some big games. We kind of touched on that slightly in the podcast last night, the full podcast with AJ Dre and Chuck. But yeah, that's that. And then some news that came out, I think it was Wednesday actually, about Chase Young. It was an interview with a doctor on the Kevin Sheehan podcast, and he said some interesting things. So we're going to talk about Chase Young and him potentially missing more than just those 4 games and why his recovery may take a little bit longer than we anticipated. I won't have the quotes verbatim, but you know, we'll talk about it. And then preseason power rankings. NBC Sports Washington tapped into some of the preseason power rankings. So we're going to see like where they had Washington at heading into the year, and if it's fair. So we'll tap into all those things right quick. But I want to start off with, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I want to start off with that Aaron Donald situation. I don't know if you all saw the Rams and Bengals joint practice. They had a fight yesterday, and during that fight, Aaron Donald got the wilding again. So I don't know if you all seen it. I'm gonna show it, but my thing is when I actually want to show it first because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So let me try and find it. You think Obata gonna make the team? Ain't heard much, but they kind of making a big. They kind of made a big deal. They did make a big deal out of him. And to be honest with you, that's a solid question because it depends on how many guys that they take in terms of defensive linemen, but ultimately, Obata's a guy where you're gonna have to, cause like I'm trying to think, like you're gonna have to think about William Bradley King, Shaka Toney, and I think that is his competition. William Bradley King and Shaka Toney And that's probably his most important battle for Saturday. Like he has to have a better game than them guys. But to your point, I know that was a typo though. What's going on, Jay? But yeah, to your point though, Obata, in terms of the offseason, there was a lot of noise about him because of the season that he had previously. You know, what he had with Buffalo, he came off a good season, so rightfully so. You know, he's gonna be talked about a little bit more. But overall, in terms of impact, you're not seeing like a standout value for Obata. Like he's kind of blending in, is where I'm getting at. I'm not saying he's had because I know Jay said he's looked good. I haven't looked at him intently, so I mean, I'll take your word for it. You know, he said he looked good against Kansas City. He did have like 2 good rushes that I saw that popped out, like from a burst standpoint. It was either him or William Bradley King, but I think it was Obata that I'm remembering. But yeah, to your point, like he's blending in. It's not like he's standing out in terms of, okay, we're starting to see like it's Montez Sweat, Efe Obata, Casey Toohill, blah blah blah. Like it's not like, oh, so you're talking about the run game for the most part, and then you said some pressure. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting to see kind of how Obata's just blending in a sense, and typically like when you have those players, like they are just guys for the most part. Like we ain't talking about superstars here, but Rich definitely brought up a good point in terms of like how he was talked about in the offseason. And I think it had a lot to do with his previous year. But let me bring up this Aaron Donald thing before we get into anything, bro, because that joint was wild. Just in case anybody ain't see it, let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, share this screen right quick. What's going on, Hawk? What's going on? Let's go ahead and share the screen right quick, because this joint was crazy in case y'all ain't see it. Okay, boom, there we go.
They're all fighting.
Hey, bro, that man had 2 helmets, bro.
They're all fighting. They're all fighting.
That's a wild man, bro. That's a wild man, bro.
You see the beginning?
Yeah.
Hey, but look though, and this is my thing with AD, right? Let me stop. Bro, he got that Rory Rage. Hey, but listen though, and that's my thing where I'm getting at with AD, man. AD is a hell of a player, but I think the issue with AD, more importantly, like this ain't the first time he's done stuff. Like if you all seen him in his dust ups, bro, like he is like he comes across as like a don't give a fuck type bully type shit, right? Like when you AD, you know what I'm saying, you could bitch people on the field. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But I think that I don't give a fuck. Like he always had that vibe where it's like I don't care where I'm at, bro. Like my goal here is to fuck you up. I don't care if you on. I don't care if you on my team. I don't care if you on the opposite team. Like he said wild shit to his defensive lineman, which is okay. Like you're challenging your guys, but ultimately when it comes to like that helmet shit, bro, like that's worse than Myles Garrett jump. And I'm saying it's worse than Myles Garrett because while Garrett was targeting one person, you know what I'm saying, doing this thing with Mason Rudolph, which is bad, Aaron Donald was swinging that joint like he didn't care who was behind him, who was beside him. He didn't care if he missed. Like I think like based on the sound, he connected with another person with a helmet on. But bro, imagine if you hit somebody and you missed your target and you hit a nigga with no helmet on. And he can't even get punished for that shit, like from the league. It's gonna be on the team. And what you think the Rams gonna do? They gonna find his ass. Ain't about to be no suspension. Ain't gonna be nothing like that, bro. They swinging helmets like they swim, like they swimming purses. Yeah, so and he did some shit like that before, like, and that's why I was trying to remember. I'm struggling in terms of what exactly he did. That was wild. Yeah, or he hit a coach, bro. Like Sean McVay in the pictures that they had, Sean McVay was right beside him. Like, imagine if you hit Sean McVay, bro, your own coach. So that's just wild, and I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think the league, they're probably gonna put some pressure on the Rams to do something, and not let it go away lightly. I don't know if a season, I don't know if a season is, I say season, my bad. I don't know if an in-season suspension is going to, get drummed up over this. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the team, but I think you can see probably see a pretty hefty fine for a person like that who's swinging helmets like that in a brawl. Like, I've never seen this shit before, but Aaron Donald is not incapable of doing some shit like that before. Hey, Rich, I see you. He beat the brakes off somebody in the club. Wait, was that true? I thought Aaron Donald actually helped the dude. Donald fight. Let's see. Yeah, I think he was actually helping somebody, and the dude got his name wrong. Yeah. Yeah, so he was actually saving somebody, which is actually wild. Because seeing the shit he did yesterday, I'm like, bro, that's more his character. Okay, that's enough for Aaron Donald, man. But it's just wild. I had to talk about it for a second, bro, because I ain't never seen nothing like that in terms of for a practice, and regardless of them having helmets on, like him like making one single mistake swinging helmets like that it could have been tragic, to be honest with you. That head trauma, bro, could have fucked somebody up. But yeah, let's get into the Commanders, man. Do beating the Ravens mean anything to you at all? I got a mention yesterday on Twitter, in that mention, I was talking about something about the preseason game, the last preseason game, and somebody responded. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. He said, I want us to beat the Ravens so we stop hearing about that stupid preseason win streak. I felt the pain when he said that. Baltimore Ravens win streak preseason. Let's see. So it falls in line with meaningless records. Let's see. Did they break the record yet? Yeah, they've won 22 straight preseason games. And if Baltimore wins again, it'll mark 6 consecutive seasons the Ravens have gone without a loss in the preseason. There are certain kind of records in sports that are memorialized, and blah, blah, blah. And then they're the Ravens preseason streak falls in the latter. All right. Well, where's the record? What is the record that they talking about? The Ravens also take time in the preseason. Well, and this is one thing I want to talk about with the Ravens before I even talk about how I feel about beating them or not beating them. This upcoming Saturday, 22, currently 19 game stretch as the longest. Also, they did break the record. Okay, so they already broke the record. That don't even matter then. Okay, let's circle back to the Ravens, and does it mean anything? So again, I got that tweet about the guy who said he wants to beat the Ravens so they can stop talking about the preseason streak. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. The most impressive part about the Ravens and them taking preseason as seriously as they are, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. First off, I would bet that the Ravens probably didn't take this streak seriously, like when it happened. Like, they probably noticed after the third year, like, damn, we ain't losing a minute. Like, we ain't losing a minute. It wasn't like they was like, all right, y'all, let's go ahead and start taking these games seriously, man. I want to make sure we don't lose in the preseason ever. Like I said, it probably took them like 8 games to realize they haven't lost in 2 years, and then obviously going into the 3rd year, 12 games where they haven't lost. But ultimately, what it means for me is, like, look at the track record. They said since 2016, right? Let's take a look at how they performed since 2016 from a team standpoint. Since 2016, the Ravens have won 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, 14-2, 11-5, then 8-9. And we know that 2021 8-9 was a year where they were just battling 1,000 injuries. Even still, they started off 8-3, and that 8-3 was with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson went 7-5, and then everything went downhill. So ultimately, I think for Baltimore, preseason rarely translates to the regular season, but I think preseason is an indicator of how composed, how what's the word? Prepared your teams are. Like, are they on assignment? Are they doing their jobs? Are they taking every single ounce of football seriously? And I think that's what you're getting with the Baltimore Ravens. So regardless of a streak, like, preseason doesn't mean anything in terms of winning the games, but what a streak like this indicates, at least to me, is that you're talking about a team who takes every ounce of football serious, who takes every ounce of coaching and development serious. And while, again, 2016 and 2017 didn't really provide much in terms of a playoff push, like they finished second in their division those first 2 years, you end up transitioning to Lamar Jackson, and all of a sudden you become one of the best teams in the league consistently. Like, that's just how it is, and that's kind of why I'm impressed by the streak. But ultimately, as we talk about, I like to see Sam break the streak. Ultimately, this is a team where I'm kind of, from a competitive standpoint, I'm kind of hoping Washington takes them down. It doesn't hurt me if they win. Like, they can talk about a win streak all they want to, but they also back it up in the regular season. And, like, if they want to talk about a preseason win streak, cool. Like, it ain't nothing we could do about it. It ain't nothing we could do about them talking about a preseason win streak, because what do they do when the regular season comes around? They're consistently a double-digit win team. So I get it from that standpoint, but for me, to say it's meaningless is bogus. Okay, that streak shows why they're a great team year after year. I'd like the team to get a W, some kind of momentum to start the season. Harbaugh smug like that. He knew. Hey, but listen though. So you saying he knew? You saying he knew when they went 4-0, the first 4-0? Or are you saying they knew, like, at some point down the line? Like, I'm betting that they didn't pay attention in the first 2 years. I'm thinking that it happened on accident, and then they said, I want to keep this shit going. And then also remember too, for those who don't know or don't remember, Lamar Jackson ain't playing the preseason in like 2 or 3 years. He ain't playing tomorrow either. So that's gonna make like the 3rd straight year, I believe, he hasn't played in the preseason. So technically, if you think about it, if he really wanted to win, Lamar Jackson would have played in some of these games too, right? But also, that's a business standpoint. That's a business decision, keeping your star player out of the preseason. So I get it. Hawk said that they scout and draft well and have tremendous depth when they come into regular seasons. You know what's crazy? Hawk, the best part about this is actually understanding, again, when we talked about like them winning and taking every part of the process seriously, that's one thing, but also goes into what you just mentioned. Depth. Nah, I don't think Lamar played against us. Let me see. But I'm gonna look it up. But like ultimately, like depth is another factor that people aren't taking. Like they're one of the deepest teams in the league. Like, and when you have good depth and you have good talent across the board from a roster standpoint, you're going to be able to compete against most teams in the preseason from a depth standpoint. So that also helps them as well. So I mean, that's a very solid point when we talk about the actual depth of a roster. Lamar Jackson preseason stuff. I could have sworn. What in the world is this? 2021 season. He only played. Oh, those is recent games. I was about to say, what the hell? Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens preseason. Oh, they whooped our ass 37-3. Jesus Christ. Boy, they whooped our ass. That jump was terrible. Lamar did play. You right. My bad. They got out 23-3 on our ass. How bad? This was terrible. And you know what's crazy? Looking at this game, Kyle Allen played. Taylor Heineke didn't play, nor Ryan Fitzpatrick. They ain't play Antonio Gibson. They played Peyton Barber, gave him 4 carries. Jared Patterson had 2 carries, -1 yards. Antonio Gandy Golden, 4 receptions, 39 yards. Yo. They got their ass whooped. They ran for 180. Oh my God. Hold on. I know it's preseason, but Jesus Christ, they had 490 yards on this. Them boys averaged 6 yards a play. Why did they do that to us? Why did they do that to us, bruh? Maul, let us know when to join the show, because I got some things to share with y'all. That's a bet. I'm interested in seeing how they play Lamar. It seems that man should have been extended. So they said that Lamar is asking for a fully guaranteed deal, and that's kind of what's the hold up for these guys. I heard that like either earlier this week or maybe late last week in terms of what Lamar is asking for, and that's been the hold up because you know Deshaun Watson essentially kind of stepped in and blew everything out the door in terms of his deal. So Lamar is really negotiating against Deshaun Watson, a guy who really ain't playing it. What, a year and a half type shit. They have an identity that's been established for 20 years. FACT exclamation point. They've run the same defense. Yeah, I mean that's like it's like a farm system, bro. Like once they lose one coach, they find somebody with the same philosophies, if not under the same coaching tree. Tyler Huntley made it. Yes, that's when he got put on the map. He got put on the map after the game he had against us. Boy, that boy looked like Lamar Jackson. Huntley had 6 carries. He had 5 touchdowns. Yes, that was the game. Yeah, he had 5 touchdowns on us. 4 in the air and one on the ground. And because we always beat them in the regular season. So here's my thing. So does this game mean anything to me? Let me put a bow on this and talk about it. I don't think, like, ultimately this game doesn't mean too much, but from a competitive standpoint, I would love to see Washington actually show something in terms of like wanting to step out there and do their best from a collective standpoint. I don't think they're all going to go out there and say, let's beat their ass. Like, I don't think they all going to come to that standpoint and say, let's beat their ass. I think it's going to be more about individuals wanting to put their best foot forward and make sure that they have a lot of good film on tape, because while I think that these starters, Washington starters, should play at least two series, I think after them, they're skipping the second units. I think they're going straight to the 3rd and 4th units. So I think Sam Howell is going to have a lot of time in this week 3 game. And the good thing against Baltimore is that depth part that we mentioned, right, Hawk? Like, Baltimore has very good depth, but they're notorious for very good defenses, regardless of what season it is. Regular season, preseason, postseason, they got it. They got that shit. So yeah, man, I think that you bring a good point up with the depth part, but also for Sam Howell, that's going to be big for him. But I personally do want to see Washington like compete from an individual standpoint, but also try to get this dub from a competitive standpoint. So yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at with this preseason game. Ultimately, from a win and loss standpoint, it is what it is. But yeah, I think there's like potential big games for several Washington Commanders, and that'll ultimately be the crux of this whole. It does, because them Baltimore Bama ass fans are unbearable. How many do you come across within a week? I'm not gonna say within a given day. So how many do you all come across within a week? I know a couple personally, so I and it's crazy. The people that I know that are Ravens fans, they don't even talk about the Ravens. That's the funny thing. Only to the guys that need to make the team. Okay. All right, I respect that. What's going on, Mike? Appreciate you checking in, big dog. To everybody that's joining as new, or new to this stream this morning, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are not. If you are on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button on there. Later in the show, I will be opening it up. Matter of fact, hey, let's get it out. Let's get it out the way now. I'm gonna open it up throughout the show. So let's go ahead and send that link to anybody and everybody that want to join. And we just discussed, like, does Baltimore mean beating Baltimore mean anything to you all? I asked about Jay, how many does he run across in a season? So Jay said he lives in Columbia and works around them. That is painful. That's painful. And on top of that, like, just think about the weeks where Washington, I don't know how long you lived out there, but imagine if you were out there in 2019 and Washington goes 3-13, and you go out there for 13 weeks, right? And you go to work for 13 weeks out of the football season, and you have to cope with the fact that you all lost a game. And meanwhile, in 2019, these guys went 14-2. They went 14-2, bruh. That is painful, dog. Okay, so last year the preseason was telling about the lack of depth. Yes, this year, same team. This year the team is built I struggle with some words, but I got what you're saying, though. I'm gonna just say facts. He said my wife is a Ravens fan. And that's because at the end of the day, I don't think they would be playing what's in the real playbook anyways. Battle of the Beltway for real. I've been out here since the 90s. Good God. You saw these boys win 2 Super Bowls, bro. You saw these boys win 2 Super Bowls. And you lived that shit in person.
Culture made it hit, boy. Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Testing. Baltimore gonna be blitzing from the not yet. Okay. Check. Not yet. What the hell happened to the mic then?
Hey, run that shit up, Chase. run that shit up, Chase. Hey, 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 run that shit up, Chase.
Culture made it hit, boy.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase. 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 run that shit up, Chase. Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Test, mic check. Check. There we go. We back, baby. All right. God damn. Let's go ahead and bring the show back. Let's go ahead and bring the show back. All right. Woo.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Let's try this for a third time, man. Appreciate y'all waiting. This joint was blowing me. So like on my setup, I have two monitors, and I'm connecting my mic to one monitor or to one PC from another PC, and I got to do it virtually. So like sometimes I don't even be knowing when the audio drops. That shit happens. It's very frustrating though. This shit becomes very frustrating. And I'm sure like the way I'm gonna monitor it actually on my side, so I can make sure that let me have my levels straight. All right, bet. I'm gonna just make sure I have it both up just in case it dies again. Okay. So where I was at, we were talking about, all right, so Del Rio have a plan for the first game of the season because we need that identity from day one. Anything else, I believe, is truly outdated. So here's my thing, and I actually brought up a very, I brought up, and I want to get back to that one. I'm gonna keep that up there for a while so I won't forget it. But in terms of, matter of fact, let's talk about it now before we get into some of the players, because you brought up a good point. I think that they do have a plan. I actually think that, I mean, the defense, we haven't seen a lot from these guys. And I put an article out on Hogs Haven this week about how important like the pressure is, and how much is lacking from players not named Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat. I gave credit to Daniel Wise as well. I like what he's been doing in the preseason, and he can provide some value moving forward. But ultimately, I think what will help these guys out is what we haven't seen yet. And what we haven't seen yet is their 5 personnel package, five down lineman package. It's called Cinco, I guess, for this defense. Some people call it Penny. Like it's all about like 5 defensive linemen. That's the 5 down front. And Washington did a good job last year creating pressure off of it, creating one-on-one matchups off of it, allowing the defensive line to take control of the line of scrimmage. And I think while me personally, I've been a guy who has been somewhat concerned about the lack of productivity from the people that I haven't mentioned, right? Deron Payne, Casey Toohill, FAO Bada for that matter, where they brought him in to be a pass rush guy, and some other people, James Smith-Williams, William Bradley King, all those guys, right? I think that you'll probably see more production from the pass rush once they're able to start actually game planning and enforcing other ways to create pressure. And that 5-man front is probably one of their more important alignments that they use, or one of the more important packages that they use on their defense. So for me, I think that's one alley and one way in which things can get better. And Mike, to your point, I think they do have a plan, but it just goes to show like everything, because we know that Kansas City game, it looked bad on all levels. But I think the more important thing was the fact that these guys did not look good up front. And when they didn't look, and that's all game, it wasn't just Pat Mahomes. And when they didn't look good up front, ultimately, your backing is going to suffer. But I think with the 5 down front, you can have like certain disguise looks, certain disguise pressure looks. You can send 6, you can send 5 from different areas, and ultimately create stress on a pass or an offensive lineman, because if they can't slide or if they can't double one person, somebody has to win. And if that means Montez Sweat winning all the time or Jonathan Allen winning all the time, so be it. But they got to get to the quarterback. Jonathan Allen having what? Let's see. He had, I think it was 9 sacks last year, right? Let's see. John Allen had, I think it was 9. Let me check. 9 sacks last year for an interior defensive lineman. That's not normal. It's good. It's really good, but it's not normal. And I wouldn't anticipate Jonathan Allen getting double digits this year. Like, I can see another between 7 and 9 sacks. I can see that. That's very productive. And if he gets double digits, then he's elite. Like, that's an elite player. You stack up one very good season with another season in which you get double digits. Like, that's an elite player that you have in Jonathan Allen. So I'm not gonna, limit him. I'm just saying it's very hard to do for an interior defensive lineman, and that's where Montez Sweat comes in and some of the edge rushers. But ultimately, what I'm saying is, like, when you have that 5 down front, you create a lot of one-on-one situations. And if you're winning in one-on-one situations, ultimately it helps your back end, because what happens with your back end, the team that you're playing, they're going to have to keep a running back in. They're going to have to keep a tight end in. To all these guys to help block, because they can't contain or can't protect with the 5 one-on-one. You have to find your weakest offensive lineman in terms of like matchups for Jack Del Rio. And this is where the conversation is coming from. Jack Del Rio is going to have to put his best defensive pass rusher on the offense's worst offensive pass blocker. And you have to work those matchups. And if Jonathan Allen is the one who's going to work them, let's get it done. If Montez Sweat is going to be the one to work the tackle, let's get it done. So personally, like I said, I haven't been impressed by the overall collective unit, a team who's going to be running like by committee on that defensive line. You're not going to see a lot of heavy edge rushers that's not named Montez Sweat. You'll see a rotation on that opposite end. I think Daniel Wise is going to have a lot of opportunity, but ultimately, that's kind of where I'm at with that pressure thing and what it means for that back end. Because Jay mentioned it, and I think somebody else mentioned it too. Let's see. Okay, so it was Jay that I saw. Okay, so Tyler mentioned, can't cover behind it. I think they can. I think there's 2 issues here. I think the issue is they were playing traditional shells in their coverages. But also, I think that when you have teams or defenses who are covering for more than 3 seconds, it's going to be difficult. I also don't think they're ever going to find or play a guy as fucking ridiculous as Travis Kelce and Pat Mahomes. Like, Cole Holcomb didn't look really good. He didn't look comfortable for the most part in coverage against these guys. Like, he was nervous in terms of like how he was moving. He was a little light on his feet. It was kind of crazy from a linebacking standpoint. Cole Holcomb having his mix-ups in coverage, but I liked how everybody that's not named. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, Cam Curl got beat on the touchdown, but that was a perfectly placed ball. Same thing with Kendall Fuller. I ultimately think that Kendall Fuller could have played him tighter and had more contact within that 5-yard marker. I think that could have helped him. But ultimately, like, when the ball is in the air, the way it was placed, bruh, it's hard for Kendall Fuller to get to that one. But yeah, man, I think the secondary specifically wasn't terrible against Kansas City. I also think that they were solid. But when you have breakdowns, it ultimately comes because they're not getting pressure up front. And when you have that 5 seconds to try to make something shake, that's going to be difficult. Especially when you have all day to throw. Like, you're not forcing the quarterback to be uncomfortable and throw it away. But ultimately, back to our main point, Jack Del Rio is in a situation where he has some schemes up his sleeve that he used last year that he didn't use in the preseason. And I think it's fair that we at least mention that on my side, because I want to see what that looks like with this unit, especially with Chase Young out. Chase Young coming back eventually, we're going to talk about Chase for a quick second. But Chase Young ultimately coming back is going to be interesting to see if he can provide some value this year, because he may not, and that's a little nerve wracking. It's a little nerve wracking. I got somebody. Hawk is checking in. I'm gonna make sure I get through the comments right quick so we can see some things. Mike said he make you feel he's relying on the front guys to relieve the secondary, and that is our downfall because we got to be well-rounded in all positions. Allen is the real deal for sure. Like Sapp told them, work as a unit and put your pride to the side and help each other get to the quarterback. On 3rd and 3, Del Rio got to man him up and blitz. They might need to put Cole on 3rd down. Our D-line is undisciplined rushers, and that doesn't get talked about enough. It was a very long conversation last year, and I think this year is going to be different. It may be the same. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like in the preseason, I've seen Deron Payne get washed and removed out of his gap in his pass rush lane. We all know about Tuhill on the edge. Like I don't think he's an edge bender, which makes it more explainable for why he struggled turning the corner at times. But yeah, to your point, pass rush lanes, they gotta get that shit together, and also understand what containment looks like. Okay, you think Allen is undisciplined? Last week too, I ain't never he got doubled like 6 or 7 times. It wasn't much he could do on some rushes. And that's where Montez Sweat, I don't know if you all seen it, when Montez Sweat was nearly at the quarterback, those were most of the times where Allen got doubled. Okay, so let's go ahead and get Hawk in right quick, see what Hawk got to say. Took this thing on mute for a second. Boom, there we go. Boom, and there we go. What's going on? Hawk, how you feeling?
Man, good morning, man. Hey, look, Mom, man, shout out to you, man. Shout out to Trapper Dive, man. It's the best morning show, man.
Hey, appreciate you, big dog. I gotta get that tag so I can put this in like the show intro or something.
Yeah, man, for sure.
How you feeling though, man? Everything good with you?
Oh yeah, man. You know, all is well, man. I got my wife talking trash to me about this daggone game here. And you know
look,
what?
Don't get consumed with it, man. You know what I'm saying? Just shake it off if we lose 37-3 again.
Hey, oh my bro. Let me tell you something. Last year, man, we were at that game, and bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. I left. Matter of fact, we left when the score was 30-3, and they scored another touchdown. So,
sure did.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
I would have been mad if they put up 40. I would have talked about that the next 2 weeks.
Ooh,
These motherfuckers is a problem. We gotta fire everybody.
I'm telling you, man.
But nah, talk to me though, man. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man. So this Saturday, we'll be at this game in Baltimore this time, and you know, man, I just wanted to go ahead and share some things with you. You know what I'm saying, that I think that's worth watching, right? So for one, because she a Ravens fan, I know she's not going to keep up the ins and outs of her team. So I kind of keep up with both teams now. And so my thing is with Baltimore. Baltimore has 3 wide receivers that are on like the cusp of making a team, but because the roster size is kind of limited with 53, not all of them are going to make it. So the first thing that I want everybody to watch out for is three of the wide receivers for the Ravens. You got Shamar Bridges, you got Mekhi Polk, and you got Raleigh Webb. I call Raleigh Webb Raleigh Spiderweb. But watch out for those 3 guys against our backup, quarterbacks, safeties, and things like that, man. Definitely watch out for them guys because I ain't gonna lie.
Bridges is like that 6'4" receiver, ain't he?
Yeah. Bridges is 6'4", Polk is 6'3", and Webb is 6'2".
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so watch out for those 3 guys against our backups because last year Baltimore put up stats against us. You know what I'm saying? In the last preseason game. So definitely watch out. The wide receivers versus the coverage unit for us. The other thing was it's their offensive line. Their backups for their offensive line against our against our defensive front line that's going to be trotted out there. Because Juwan James, the guy they picked up from the Denver Broncos, the Ravens picked up from the Denver Broncos. He was an All-Pro at one point, I believe. And so what happened was, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that he got injured. He got signed by the Ravens. The Ravens went ahead, they picked him up. They, let him rehab on a dime, and now this dude, he having a good, he's been having like a good off season slash preseason. Their guards and things like that. I know that they were in a position battle. Tyree
Oh, from
Phillips and
Miami. Okay, and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
Denver.
yeah,
Oh, I knew that name looked familiar.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hmm.
Was it Tyree
Look at
Phillips
him
and
up.
Tyree Phillips and what's the other dude's name? What's the other dude's name? Tyree Phillips and Ben Powers. Ben Powers. There's another dude. So for that left guard position. So So they got their own like position battles going on their side. But but overall, just their backup, in second and third string, offensive linemen. To me, because I saw the game last year and how they when it was able to go and put up points against Washington last year, it's like, bro, like there's no way in the world, the guys that we got, bro, if they don't generate some type of pressure, it's over with. Um, what else? What else? Our
Well, let's
offense, I
let's start
really,
right there for a second because
yeah,
I know you about to go to offense. Let's start right there for a second. I think
hmm
one of the more because like when you talk about offensive line and obviously secondary is
hmm
that is something important. Like I think Danny Johnson, Christian Holmes.
yeah,
We talked about Danny Johnson last. Matter of fact, Danny Johnson, Christian Holmes, to that effect, Corin
hmm
Elder.
yeah,
Who else can I think of? Dewan Neal. Like all
hmm
these are the guys that's gonna have like the spotlight on them in terms of like the coaches looking at them. They're going to have
exactly.
a good portion of the second half, if not three quarters, in terms of performance. They're going to be out there trying to make a name for themselves and try to establish the back end of
hmm
the roster in terms of cornerbacks, particularly. Stephen Parker, he's been around. I think Percy Butler is also going to get a lot of time too. I think this is probably one of the
Yeah,
ones where you see him play
hmm
maybe three quarters, if not the whole game.
hmm
And all this to say, to your point, you're going to get a lot of exposure of what these guys are able to do
yeah.
against. Assuming Tyler Huntley plays, I doubt he does.
I think
Um,
he will.
but you think
Yeah, I
he?
think he will,
Okay,
but it'll be limited. Yeah.
okay. So
hmm
who's the guy behind him? I'll be forgetting his name.
Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown.
Yeah, Anthony Brown. I think
Mm-hmm.
either way, like these guys, at least in preseason, you're going to get a lot of good competition from a quarterback standpoint with these guys. So they throw the ball like in the regular season, they're more run based and run heavy,
Yeah.
but and they love the power run, but in
Mm-hmm.
the preseason to this point, and even last year, they're throwing it like 35 times a game type thing.
Ex-
So you're going to get a
Yeah.
lot of exposure from the secondary standpoint and pass rush. Like who can really stand out and give these guys, give these guys, meaning Washington, give these guys some help. So I think you brought up a good point just from the size of the
Mm-hmm.
receivers, but also that offensive line. If they're able to pass protect and run block pretty effectively, we'll see like where the strengths and weaknesses are of this roster for the Commanders defense. But I'm gonna get the floor back to you because I know you weren't done yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Aside from those things, I'm gonna try to go ahead and get them quick. I know, Baltimore. They kind of get like, they kind of have what is it? A position battle at that last tight end spot. Their tight ends are pretty stacked, so it's like between their tight ends versus our linebackers and like safeties. What else? And then on offense, can we? Will we be able to, say, to go ahead and generate, points? So, obviously, because who did we have last year? Was it Steven Montez? I think,
Yeah, it
last
was
year,
Montez and
Montez.
Kyle Allen.
That about yeah. So can now can Sam Howell? Man, oh man, Rico, man. If we would have been the red, I'm sorry, I called you Rico. Oh man, if we would have been the Red Wolves, man, let me tell you something.
But
They
you
could have
think we all the
ranked
same
up
because we
us.
got dreads, bro? That's what you saying?
No, no. Yes, it's because I'm black. It's because I'm black.
Uh, that's what you telling me?
No. Nah, nah, man, my bad, bro.
Nah, you good,
Nah,
bro.
nah, yeah, man, but nah, man. It's just, man. If Sam Howell could go ahead and just go ahead and find a way to go ahead and get it done. I mean, you know what? I'm assuming Cam Sims plays. You know what I'm saying? You know, Cam
Concussion.
Sims.
So he gonna be out. He ain't
Concussion. Oh
playing.
wow,
Yeah, concussion
wow.
protocol.
Man, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know if we gonna be able to score points. I don't know. I mean, what's your guy's name? Michelle. I mean, you know, it might be his last
Yeah, Mark
chance.
Mitchell. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Him, Erickson. It might be his last chance. So, you know,
So here's the
the
thing
backup
too,
running
and I
backs.
think since we're on last chance, actually, yeah, I'll talk about it right quick.
Yeah.
I think a sneaky thing, and this is where I was going to transition to before the mic died,
Hmm.
was what's his name, Armani Rogers. Now
Yeah.
Armani, not in that it's his literal last chance. I think he made a really good case for himself to make the roster. First off, what's
Hmm.
going on, Alex? What's going on, Rio? Everybody that's in
Hey.
here that's just checking in. The link is in the description. I'm going to go ahead and put that. I said it's in the description. It's actually not in the description. But I'm gonna send it to the chats. If anybody wants to come up, talk Commanders, whatever's on your mind, whatever you want to get off your chest, the floor is yours. It is an open
Hmm.
show right now. But to Armani Rogers, I don't think this is like I don't think he's going to necessarily like get cut, but I think this is also an opportunity to actually prove to the coaching staff why they drafted or they brought in, Jake Halsman and Kendall Blanton. Some people, at least Kendall
Yeah.
Blanton, has Super Bowl experience, so he had some exposure in the playoffs.
Hmm.
These guys are brought in to compete. Like, yes, they're camp bodies, but they're also brought in here to compete, and they got some experience behind them. So while
Yeah.
Armani, has made a good case in the first 2 weeks, but also through training camp as well, you're talking about a guy who is going to have to yet prove himself again and show that he's better. He's a better option than Halsman and Blanton, and they can move forward with Armani Rogers along
Yeah.
with Logan Thomas, Cole Turner, and obviously
Yeah.
John Bates as well. So
Yeah.
I think that this is another game where where we once thought that Armani could have solidified himself as that fourth tight end, he has more
Hmm.
competition that he has to prove himself.
You know what? Just to piggyback off what you're saying, I definitely believe that he too made more, made a strong case for, for himself to go ahead and make the team. And at just one point, he made Samus, Baby Gonzalez Reyes, he made him expendable, and he got cut. So
Yeah.
Rogers, you did your thing. You did your thing. You made Samus, you made him expendable. Now go ahead, ball out this preseason. But with his last game. But I will say this though, Baltimore's defense unit, man. Their linebackers and things like that, man. Man, them boys is not taking no slack, man, because they know well, pretty much all the guys that are playing in this game is last chance for everybody. So them guys are coming to play. He got to make sure he come to play too.
Absolutely. You said you're going to the game, Hawk?
Yeah, man, brother, man. A mall, man. If you will be there, man, anybody, man, I will be at the game, man. I hope to see everybody, man. 'Cause and last, we better win this game too, because last year these guys packed our stadium, bro. They packed our stadium, bro. It was nothing but
Oh,
purple when I went to.
okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, they
Yeah,
they travel well with that beltway thing, man. You already know that
yeah,
much. So that's
facts.
definitely going to be something. But Washington is going to clearly be outnumbered in Baltimore for the obvious reasons. We don't have to state that
I know,
part.
right? I know, right?
Yeah, yeah. But in the same vein, man, enjoy that time out there. It's gonna be. Hold on, let me check. I thought it was a good Saturday night. Um, let's
Oh
see.
yeah,
I know
the
weather-wise. Oh
game
yeah, we're
starts at
looking at
7, I think.
88 degrees, sunny, no weather issues, man. Look, enjoy that game tomorrow, bro. And
Yes,
definitely
sir.
don't let your wife get to you, man. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Like they some dogs in the preseason, so they you got to get it off your chest somehow, right?
Man, yo, I'm trying to tell you, man. No more records broken on us this year, man. No more records.
Fingers
No more
crossed.
records. Yeah, exactly,
Fingers
exactly.
crossed, man.
Hey, man, Maul, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks so much, bro.
Already, man. You know what time it is, bro. Be safe, big dog.
All right, for sure. Peace.
Alright. So yeah, let's go ahead and get back to the music and the comments. Hey, Rio, appreciate you checking in. Alex, appreciate you checking in. I said what's up earlier, but yeah, appreciate y'all. And yeah, man, Rico, bruh. That is funny though. I know Hawk ain't mean no harm. But Tyler, so to your point, I don't think Armani's gonna get. So like, here's the thing. It's a more in-depth conversation because I do think Hodges is gonna get cut, and he may be practice squad candidate. Who knows? But when you talk about Turner, Thomas, Bates, Cole Turner, Logan Thomas, John Bates, you got to figure out who that fourth guy is. And now, because I think Curtis Hodges and Armani Rogers were in the mix, right? You now lose Curtis, but you add Jake Halsman and Kendall Blanton. So now you went from your solid 4 to now having your solid 3 with Rogers competing, Hodges competing, Halsman competing, and Kendall Blanton. So now you got 4 more in turn, or score 3 more that Armani Rogers has to compete with. And that's kind of where I was getting at. Like, I think that Armani, if it wasn't for Halsman and Blanton, would have made the roster. But now I'm not entirely too sure. I was confident, like on a scale of 1 to 10, I probably had like a 9.5. But now that 9.5 prior to them getting signed in the week that they'll be playing, I think that 9.5 has dropped down to like a 7. So ultimately, I'm still pretty high, but dropping 2.5 points is a little. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Okay, so Kyrick McGowan, you think so? That receiver spot is gonna be tricky, bro. Let's go through that one too. And ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the preseason game this upcoming Saturday. There are some big games for several commanders. I named Armani Rogers. That's where I started. Hawk came in and talked about the opportunities that the secondary will have against some big receivers for the Ravens offense, and obviously their offensive line has some good depth. So he talked about it from the other side of the fence with the Baltimore Ravens. Alex mentioned Kyrick McGowan, number 83. And for me, that's gonna be hard. And the reason why I say that is because, like, let's talk about it. Like, if Kyrick McGowan makes the team, let's go back to Tyler's point. De'Ami Brown, like, if he made it, in theory, he would be taking De'Ami Brown's spot. Because you have Cam Sims, who I think is a lock, Curtis Samuel, Dax Milne, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Now, I believe that De'Ami Brown is a lock. Personally, I think that De'Ami Brown is a lock. But where does Kyrick, Erickson, Mark and Michelle, where do they fit? I don't know where they fit. So I don't. But yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like, I don't think it's written. I agree. They aren't playing, so you need the camp bodies, but also, when you add some people with a little status behind their name, is kind of where I'm getting at. But yeah, I agree with you. They're playing because they're camp bodies ultimately. But you never know. But yeah, back to McGowan. It's hard, man. I really think that receiver spot is set. Like, can McGowan? So here's the thing: can McGowan provide anything in special teams? And when I was at practice, one day, right? I'm not gonna exacerbate the issue. Let's all contextualize. I was at practice for one day. But the day I was out there, I got out there at like 7:30. And he was the first person out there. He was practicing his punt returns. He looked good in punt returns. I didn't even know who he was at the time. I just called him 83. But then, like, he looked good, and when practice officially started and he was returning punts, he was fielding punts, he fumbled one and then bobbled another one. So that right there, I mean, it looks bad in the eyes of the coaches, but think about the work that he did before the practice even started. Like, you did all that work and you fumbled when it really mattered, when you were being evaluated. So I think that's one idea, but also in the actual games, he didn't really make an impact as a returner. And he actually, I don't think he ever got back to the 25 on any of his returns. So they're giving him opportunities, but I don't know if he's really capitalizing in the role in which they want him to. Let's go. Terry McLaurin. Curtis. Okay, so Terry, Curtis, Jahan, Cam, Diami, Milne, McGowan. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 receivers. That's I don't know. I don't think they could do that, because if you do 7 receivers, I think you ultimately gotta keep 3 tight ends, right? Like I don't do the 53 projections, like in terms of knowing, which makes sense in terms of players to keep on both sides of the ball. Like I don't really go through that exercise all the time, so I don't have the math in my head. But I know if you do keep 7 receivers, then you may have to. I don't even know if you can keep 3 quarterbacks in that same vein. You keep 7 receivers, you gotta somewhat trim 2 spots, and I think you have to trim tight end and you have to trim quarterback, and that would mean, do you cut Taylor, or do you risk putting Sam Howell on the practice squad, or do you trade Carson Wentz? It's like, no, let me stop. I know we ain't trading Carson. Don't overreact, y'all. But nah, I think you do gotta limit. You gotta make some trims in other areas if you do keep 7 receivers. So he said if we do keep 7, it'll be Erickson. Yo, Gibson is now 2nd string. Do you think he'll play? Personally, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I think that Gibson should play. But knowing how Ron Rivera is and his track record with preseason, like last week or last year, you all saw it. We went through the exercise when we were talking about that goddamn beatdown against Baltimore and who played. Gibson didn't play. McKissick didn't play. Peyton Barber did. Kyle Allen played. Steven Montez played, looked abysmal. All the quarterbacks looked abysmal. But to your point, to your question, is he now 2nd string? Should he play? I think that he should get some snaps. Just to get him more immersed in his role as a versatile weapon for the offense. Like, use him with some routes out of the backfield still, motion him to the slot, motion him to the boundary, run some things with him, get his feet wet type thing. So I think that he should play. I think in the same vein, if he plays, he should probably work in with the starters too. Like, give him those first 2 drives, maybe 3 drives, and get him out of there. But I think he should play. I don't know if he will. It's definitely gonna be 6. McGowan gets the ban. Excuse me. 757. Appreciate you checking in, big dog. Gibson will get his shot again. You can bet on that. Hope people don't change up on Robinson if he fumbles once or twice. Hey, that's a good point though. I hope they don't. Because here's my thing. And people make a big deal out of this. I'm glad we're having this conversation here on Trap or Dive. Brian Robinson's going to fumble. Like, that's going to happen. Fumbles happen. The thing that I don't like, that I've seen over the past couple of months, like, people are making proclamations based on, his college career. And I get it, right? He didn't fumble in college, and I think he did have 1 fumble. If my memory serves me properly, I think he had 1 fumble, but I think it was early in his career. But people say he doesn't fumble, and saying he doesn't fumble is a dangerous narrative to set, because he hasn't played in the NFL yet. He hasn't had a regular season game where he's having 15 to 20 carries a game, and this is a full-time job. Like, you're going to get exposed to NFL tacklers, NFL playmakers on the defensive side of the football, people who are trying to get that ball out, and you're going to have some slip-ups throughout your career. And for 757 bringing up the fact that, they hope people don't change up on Brian Robinson, I'm already anticipating he's going to fumble. Like, it happens. It just happens, bruh. But you want to make sure that the rate in which he fumbles is extremely low from a percentage standpoint, and that he has opportunities to kind of showcase his ball security. Like, if he can get those 20 carries, I don't know if he's going to even start out the season with like having that much, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I hope people don't switch up either, man. I'm on the side of both Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. I don't know if he'll get shot again. I don't know if he'll get a shot again as a starting back. I think that they moved on from that in terms of being like a primary. When I say starter, I mean like primary. Is he getting? I don't think you'll see him getting 20 plus carries a game again. I think you'll probably see like 15 touches a game, like 10 to 15 touches, including the special teams. Then you'll get 10 to 15 touches from Antonio Gibson per game. But I don't see him getting 20 plus carries a game. And I think that 15 to 20 range, if not 15 to 25 carries, I think that all belongs to Brian Robinson now moving forward. I think Brian Robinson was the one who was going to get his shot in the regular season at some point, but he got his shot in preseason, and I think he's won it. Honestly, I think this new situation for Gibson forces Scott's hands to utilize him differently, more opportunities in space, as they've alluded to. Now, that part I agree with as well, Alex. But I think here's my thing, right? Because Ron mentioned yesterday. Let's see if I got the quotes. I'm gonna bring the quotes up for Ron Rivera, because he mentioned yesterday about Antonio Gibson's new role as a returner, and it didn't irk me. It was just like, you knew this all along, and you chose to go another route. So here we go. Ron Rivera on if running back Antonio Gibson looks, on how he looks. I hate Commanders. Whoever's writing up these transcripts, bro, they don't have no editor. They have nothing, bro. So it blows me. So they just said how he looks with the kick returns. And Ron Rivera says Antonio was getting more and more comfortable. When you watch it on tape, you see him circling the ball, getting under it, making a good catch, and you know it's something he did well in college. And we're pretty excited to having him do it. On if Antonio Gibson is the top kick returner going into the season for the Commanders. I think you still need to see some stuff, but I think he is. I do. I think he's done a nice job. Here's my thing. Alex, to your point, it's going to force Scott to utilize him differently. More opportunities in space, like they alluded to, correct. And I also think that translates to special teams as well. But my thing is, when you read those quotes and hear it, I'm not mad at Ron. I'm just a little annoyed. Like, we all knew when Antonio Gibson got here that he played special teams. And I understand his role last year. He was a full-time running back. They wanted to give him that opportunity, and they may have given him that opportunity too soon. I think Peyton Barber or Adrian Peterson, in the context of last season, I'm not saying that they were great backs for Washington. I liked Adrian Peterson. I didn't like Mr. 2-Yard Shouty. I didn't like him. But I think that for Washington in 2021, I think that they jumped the gun giving Antonio Gibson that number one look that soon. So ultimately where I'm getting at is, like, you knew all along that Antonio Gibson could return kicks and be a specialist. And you knew from a personnel standpoint that he could be your Swiss Army knife. So that's where I'm getting at. I don't understand why. I get it in saying that you think you still need to see more stuff. That's the part where I'm like, you knew that he can contribute. So you were wasting time. The Washington Commanders was with the guys like Kyrick McGowan, Alex Erickson, and Mark and Michelle. I think Mark and Michelle had a couple return opportunities as well. Said you wasting time with them. But the good thing is that they're going to have some opportunity on film this Saturday to make a name for themselves and possibly move forward with other teams too, because they ain't making it. Okay, we got the good man Rio checking in on the Commanders Morning Show. Let me go ahead and turn this music down for a quick second, right quick. Boom. Adding that second string right quick, and there we go. Get the boy Rio in here. What's going on, big dog? Good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Top of the morning, my guy.
Hey, man, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I was at the fantasy draft event at the stadium last night, man. I continue to say it, man. The people running things not named Daniel Snyder, they're doing things right, bro. They're getting the fan base back involved, and the vibes are becoming immaculate here. If they start winning, things are going to be totally different here, man.
Hey, Wright said it was he did like a impromptu, presser with some reporters, and he said that, they're looking at a return, a quote unquote return to, or a rise in like 2023 or 2024 in terms of like filling that stadium out. So I take your word for it. You know, I do the at home thing. I go to away games, but the at home
It's
thing
lit.
is yeah. But I follow you all in terms because I know you, Jalen, Tay, and Todd maybe have season tickets, but I know a couple of you all have it. So I pay attention to what y'all say in terms of the stadium stuff. But yeah, that's what's up. So the fantasy thing, is that where the draft that you had for the one that you sent me? Or
No, that was
different?
my league. We draft on the app and stuff. But it was a friend of mine who's a season ticket holder. She had a league, and what they did was they had a whole bunch of. I think they had over a couple thousand season ticket holders hold live drafts in the suites of the stadium last night.
That's lit.
And they had the entertainment team do a friends and family event on the field, and it was dope. I was talking to one of the guys that runs the ticket department. He was like, I'm not even exaggerating. We haven't sold this many season tickets in a long time, and there's no fake waiting list to deceive this. So it's good to see. Like the turn, I seen more people at a fantasy football event last night than I've seen at preseason games previously here. So I mean,
Hey, my favorite experiences, bro, was when I was younger. Like, I think one of my favorite ones was '07 and '07, freshman year of high school. But '07, I went to the Cardinals game that year and the Lions game. And that's the joint with the famous Sean Taylor when he had to crack back on special teams.
Hell
Seeing
yeah.
that joint live, boy, had me lit. And then I think it was London Fletcher had the pick six against
Against the
Carson,
Cardinal.
Kurt Warner. Yeah,
Yes,
Kurt
sir.
Warner joint. But my point to what you're saying, bro, like if I love to see it. Like I love to see a packed stadium at FedEx where it's majority Washington fans, because that environment, like I've been in that environment. Matter of fact, 2015, Giants came in and we won that win streak with when Odell made that ridiculous sideline catch.
My God.
But we won that joint. Stadium was packed full of Redskins fans in that joint. So I love to see it, bro, and I hope that happens, because when you get that energy, like it transitions from what you hear and what you see on TV, it transitions to what you feeling watching the game on the side. I mean, at home too, for me. And then when y'all are there in the stadium, like that energy, like when you see that passion, and you hear the chants and shit like from everybody involved, bruh, like the players feed on that, bruh. That shit is incredible.
They definitely do, man. That energy, and that's what we need. We need to reinvigorate the energy of the fan base, whether you're watching it there or watching it at home. Like, ultimately, no matter what they do on the business side, on the ticket side, and structurally in the building, what they do on the field will ultimately factor into how the fan base receives the team and how we're viewed on a national scale. So until they put that 10-11 win season together and look like the team that we know that they have the potential to be, none of it will matter until then. And I'm sticking to my record prediction, bro. I'm sticking to the optimism. I'm not letting these preseason games deter me. I'm still going with 11-6 for the season, bro. I'm rolling with it, bro. I'm rolling.
Okay, yeah. So I think, and that's the thing, like the dichotomy of preseason and trying to understand like what's important and what's not. I think the thing that bothers me, because I agree, like I said 10-7, I still stick with 10-7. Majority of my predictions actually stems on the expectations that Ron has set for year 3. So admittedly, I ride with, like, if you talk that talk, all right, bet I'm a ride with you, and I'll judge you accordingly after the season is over. You say this is an important season. All right, bet I'm gonna say 10 wins, because 10 wins actually identifies, or at least aligns with, the message that you're sending, the urgency that you're putting across. But to your point,
Is to build a culture.
yeah, to your point, I think that preseason, the dichotomy of trying to figure out what really is true and what really isn't. What do you kind of take away from preseason? What is usually true from a team, and you can kind of merge that with the Commanders in particular. But how do you kind of take away some things from preseason to see, like, all right, this is really good, and let's keep an eye on this thing, because this one may be problematic when the season starts?
I think as fans, we don't know how to pump the brakes because we get so excited about this time of year. Like we fiend for football. Like preseason football, as much as we trash it, we watch every second of the games. But as fans, we make every single play repetition a microcosm and indictment of what that player is going to project to for that season, and we can't do that. Like we can't do, like, honestly, there's more to take away from a training camp session than a preseason game, but a lot of fans don't realize that. Like they're running Manila, very base level stuff in games. They're actually doing install in practices. So when you see, even though it's against the same team, you almost can take more away from a training camp session than from a preseason game. But ultimately, it's just an exhibition game. Do I like what I see from the defense? No. Do I see some good things from the offense, even though they're not punching everything in? Yes. But neither of those things are going to sway or deter how I feel about the season. I need to see what it looks like on 9/11 when the Jags come to town. But take the preseason for what it is, man. The Ravens have won 22 preseason games in a row, and that is not equated to any hardware. So it is what it is.
Hey, I think when I started this, I think that was probably one of the more important topics. Does beating Baltimore mean anything to anybody in here? We had some people say, yeah, for their personal reasons because they live in Baltimore. Their wife is a Baltimore fan. Somebody on Twitter mentioned, about to say, somebody on Twitter mentioned they want to beat them because they're sick and tired of hearing about that preseason record. Ultimately, I think one of the things that kind of outlines whether or not a team has some sense of urgency or at least prepared going into the season is how they take every step of an offseason or every step of a training camp. How prepared are they? And I think the thing that really stands out, Rio, and I want to get your open thoughts, whatever it is that's particularly on your mind with the Commanders after this one. I think that there are teams in the NFL who are traditionally known of having good units. Like they have a good offense and they show it. This is why they show it. This is why they execute well. And same thing with defense. They have a good defense. This is how they show it. This is why they execute well. They're very disciplined and things like that. That's probably like my biggest takeaway with preseason in particular. I understand. I agree with you. Like people get carried away, even with success and negatives. Like I said earlier, I wasn't really that pleased with the pass rush, but I also am very aware that while Jonathan Allen, Daniel Wise, and Montez Sweat played good, and the others haven't, they haven't even used their 5 down linemen front. They haven't used their single package. Like they haven't done anything that really tells you that they can really generate pressure, which I believe that they can. So while I'm kind of nervous about the front end, I know that they haven't even begun to really game plan for teams. So I think that when it comes to certain things and just understanding how they win, meaning teams, just NFL teams, how they win in preseason or how they look in a preseason game comes down to actual discipline as well. And maybe while it's not too concerning, I think this is a situation where you have to see how seriously are they taking it. And I think the truth of the answer is we just don't know. We just don't fucking know how serious they're taking this preseason.
We don't at all. And my last point before I slide out of here, fans, we gotta stop putting our whole heart and soul into these players, these end of the roster fan favorite guys.
I saw what happened yesterday, man. If you want to talk about it, go ahead. The floor is yours. I saw what happened. That's my boy though. I don't think he meant nothing. It was more so about I get the floor to you because you could tell everybody what was going on.
Yeah, man. I don't. First of all, I'm not with all the argumentative, crazy taking shots things and stuff like that. But we had some spaces a few months back. Me, my boy Mo, who's Hingle McCringleberry on Twitter, and my boy Ronnie. My boy Ronnie, so effing awesome. And every time someone said the names Kelvin Harmon and AGG, being a factor in the receiver room, we literally bust out laughing. And they like were about to kick us out the spaces. They're like, why are you guys being this? I was like, bro, y'all keep factoring these dudes. They're not going to be on the roster. And these dudes are like, Harmon can still vouch for a top 4 receiver spot. AGG hasn't been given a chance. And I'm sitting here like, bro, we have to stop this. Every time we cut a player that does not have the caliber to crack a 53-man roster, even if they had a little bit, a molecule of success here, we lose our minds over. Simi Cobbs was supposed to be the greatest thing ever. Thaddeus Moss.
That's literally the guy I was trying to remember his name just now. I was like, it was a dude that went to New Orleans, and we were like, they thought he was going to be the next best thing.
Our minds. Mac Brown, the running back. We were mad about Fabian Moreau. Oh, Kyle Smith brought Fabian Moreau in. Watch what he does in Atlanta. He was cut the other day. We're going to regret the day we cut Jimmy Moreland. He is now going to be on his 4th NFL team in a matter of 2 years because Houston and Philadelphia and Washington did not work out for him. I'm not shitting on the human. I'm shitting on the player, and I am not afraid to say I do not care about bottom of the roster, barely make the 53-man roster guys. Like, it is what it is. It may come off cold, but we need to stop putting our heart and soul into these just a guy as players, and that's my piece on the subject.
Hey, man, definitely respect that. And before you get out of here, one thing, since we're talking about the Jag players, let's talk about some people. Let's say 3 people on both sides of the ball that is going to be some key contributors. Like, that's going to be key components to having a top unit on that side of the ball. So, obviously, let's eliminate Carson Wentz on that side, on the offensive side, because, I mean, that's obvious. And then on the defensive side, let's eliminate Jonathan Allen. So mine is Allen and mine is Carson Wentz, who are 3 players on both sides of the ball that's going to be important for Washington.
Okay, I'm going to try to be a little bit obscure with it, but I think De'Ami Brown brings that receiving room together if he shows the upside. You know, it seems like all his preseason reps, it's either a matter of like he beats the guy and the ball didn't get to him, or the ball was fine and he didn't make a good play on the ball. I don't know. It's weird, but I feel like De'Ami Brown can make that receiving room whole because if Curtis is healthy, you know what we're getting from the top 3 guys. And yes, it's bold to say that about a rookie in Dotson, but dude is an ultimate professional. And those top 3 guys, they're going to be out there. They're going to be working. De'Ami Brown adds that layer of vertical threat, and he gives Carson Wentz one of those. I mean, he's supposed to be a jump ball guy. I don't really see him jumping up and getting stuff other than a couple plays I've seen in practice. But I'll go De'Ami Brown on offense. Let's go a couple more guys on offense. Antonio Gibson in his new role. Antonio Gibson as the RB2 out in space, kick returner, playmaker extraordinaire. We may get the best version of Antonio Gibson because he's always going to have a fresh body. We don't have to make him depend on getting 20-plus touches a game. He can get just enough to always be fresh, explosive, and make plays without – he's not going to have to be – like the defenses aren't going to have to scheme a whole thing around him as the number 1 running back. Another guy on offense – I'm going to have to go with a right guard because it doesn't appear Trey Turner is playing football anytime soon because he hasn't really participated.
They said he put a helmet on, what's today, Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
He said they put a helmet on, but they ain't really do shit.
That's the news. That's the only news we've got since he's been a Commander. He put a helmet on at camp for the first time as camp concluded. So I'm going to say Wes Schweitzer. Wes Schweitzer at that right guard spot. How big of the drop-off is it going to be coming from Sheriff to Schweitzer? Because I believe Sheriff was a really, really good guard, but I don't think he was nearly as good as national media and a lot of our fans thought he was, and he was not available nearly enough of the time. So Schweitzer, De'Ami, and Antonio Gibson on offense. On defense, I'll put a whole position group. Someone in that cornerback room has to be a number 1 cornerback. Someone has to say, like, I'm the dog in this room and be a playmaker, cause turnovers, shut guys down. I think St. Juice has the highest upside. I think Will Jackson is getting paid $14 million. So I need him to show me
Yeah.
number one corner ability. It doesn't really feel like we have a number one corner. It just feels like we have a room of starting cornerbacks. And I'm interested to see how we use y'all guys St. Juice, because he has the most potential in the room by far. With my second on the defensive side, I'm gonna go Deron Payne, because while he's been a solid pick for us, it's revisionist history. That boy that just got paid in LA, Derwin James, injury history or not, when he's on the field, he's a bona fide motherfucking playmaker. And he's been nothing but an elite talent since he's gotten the league. Payne needs to actually produce like he warrants the contract that he's going to get. Jonathan Allen is every bit worth the penny, the contract that he got, because he produces and he's the captain and heartbeat of the defense. Deron Payne, he has solid years, but can we say Deron Payne has had a good season in Washington yet?
No.
Exactly.
And the thing that I bring up with people too, like they talk about, he's being used differently or underutilized as a pass rusher, like in terms of they could use him better. I'm like, well, I mean, in what other way? I get it. Like you want him to rush from a 3 tech, like in between the guard and tackle, but at the same time, like he ain't winning his one-on-ones. Like he looks defeated when they have a plan against him, and he has to get help from like every single sack that he had last year, 4.5 sacks. They were not won by like one-on-ones. It was all due to the help of somebody, either crashing into a lineman and helping him get a free rush, or maybe him touching a guy who failed, like the quarterback. So like ultimately, to your point, I think that I just got to speak on him because that's one of my guys too, man. I like Deron Payne, especially against the run, but we need some help as a pass rusher because he's on the field a lot of the time, and with Tim Settle gone, with Matt Ioannidis gone, they're going to be relying on him even more. So we need to see a little bit more.
Hell yeah, man. And like Ron preaches maturity. I don't know. Payne may be one of those dudes in that conversation, but to finish off my defensive side of the ball, that maturity segues into this. Every time Ron preaches about immaturity on this team, he's talking about Montez Sweat, in case nobody knows, bro. Ron be taking shots at Montez Sweat and pressers on a regular basis, bro. Hell yeah. He's always chirping in practice. He's always talking shit, and I like it. Some guys on the team got to have an edge. I need Sweat to put together a double-digit sack season. Chase is going to miss some time, so I'm not going to put that pressure on him of wanting a double-digit sack season, but he definitely needs to produce when he gets back. Montez is going to play a full 17, Lord willing, and it's time for him to put it together. He also wants to get a market resetting deal at some point, and I need Montez Sweat to look like how he looks in practice in a controlled environment against an offense that he already knows. He seems to always be in the vicinity of the quarterback and sniffs them but never hits home. And I need to see the technique improve, and I need to see him finish at the quarterback. I don't want to see Baker Mayfield's escaping from your grasp, my guy. I want to see Montez Sweat with a 12, 13 sack season. Somebody on the team other than Jonathan Allen got to be capable of it, because it's sad that we got these 2 first-round edge rushers, and the guy who I'm expecting to lead the team in tackles is our star interior D lineman. I don't know, man. I need to see it this year.
Hey, I'm with you. It's your entire list. I agree with Deron and Montez. I actually just put an article out this morning talking about those two in particular. Like 2022 is a big season for both of those guys, in their respective ways. So that is 100% facts. And Rio, appreciate you checking in this morning, Brad.
Yes,
with the Travel Dive Commanders morning show. You know the vibes, where we will be sticking around and looking forward to chopping it up with you throughout the season as well. What you got going on today? You off today?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little work in later, but I'm thinking about fading this rally in Richmond today. They're doing this team rally at River City Road from 1 to 5. It's from 1 to 5 on a Friday. That traffic,
look,
I don't know.
I was about to say, if you going to do it, you need to leave like as soon as you get off this goddamn call.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely dissuading me from wanting to go. I might just have to catch the pictures of it. I might just go run and do me some Instacart and stuff because I'm off work today. But
Okay.
yeah, man, appreciate you for having me on, big dog. We can link up soon.
Already, bro. Ain't nothing to it, man. But yeah, I'll tap in with you throughout the season, see what you got going on.
Yes, sir. Keep
All right, bro.
going up, bro.
Yes, sir. Same to you. Boom. There we go. The good man, Rio, checking in. If you ain't subscribed, I'm sure everybody in here is already subscribed to him. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. All right. So the last thing I'm gonna do, cause you know the little audio issue kind of slowed me down for a second. So I'm gonna tap into one thing. And we'll get up out of here. So Chase Young is a conversation as well that I wanted to bring up, and we'll end up leaving on this one, and it'll be pretty quick. There was a conversation on Kevin Sheehan's podcast. He had interviewed a doctor that specializes in like those knee surgeries or whatever. He's a fantasy football doctor as well, so he kind of is well equipped throughout the entire league. But the thing that he brought up, Rio, yeah. The thing that he brought up was that, the injury that Chase sustained, the torn ACL and torn ligaments, because it was multiple, and his patella tendon tearing as well. I think what that did for him, while he's going to start the season on a PUP list, it may be an indication that, or it may be possible that he may not even return like after those 4 or 5 games that he'll miss, right? The way the injury is set up, like it's an uncommon injury to suffer tearing your ACL or tearing your ligaments in your knee, and also tearing your patella tendon. And I can't, long story short it, or I mean, I can't give you like the full details because like that's doctor jargon. I understood it when he was talking about it, but I didn't really, I can't really relay the message in all. But I think what you all need to do at the very least is listen to the conversation. If you don't listen to Kevin Sheehan's podcast, listen to the latest one. Let's just say, which one is it? Because it's an interesting conversation. Matter of fact, hold on. I can pull up a tweet because Dre put it up, and it'd actually be easier. I know Dre talk about it a lot. Dre on Trap or Dive. Hold on. And it'll be easier for us to follow along. All right. 2 seconds.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Doc, Antonio, Brother Ron. Oh, here we go. All right, boom. So I'm going to share it so we can actually follow along with the conversation right quick. Remove screen. Can we go a little bit? No. Okay, so here we go. This is fine. So doctors on, Sheehan's podcast suggested that because Chase had a ruptured patella as well as a torn ACL, it was a strange combo, that he thinks Chase was playing hurt on the patella before the torn ACL. And he also explained why the recovery is so long. With the ruptured patella, you have to isolate and recover 4 to 6 weeks before doing anything else, which means the surgery for the torn ACL would have had to wait until January. So Chase most likely return would be mid-October to mid-November. So again, thanks for the context, Dre, because I was struggling to relate it and I forgot for a second. But this is a situation where, it's going to be hard to expect a lot from Chase Young in 2022. But another thing too that's at the back of my head, and it's something worth monitoring moving forward, is that Chase Young, year 3, bro, this ain't a criticism on him. It's actually just an observation. Year 3, where you miss a lot of time, after a season in which you had 1.5 sacks, playing in I think 10 games, if not 9. It's not about him being a bust either. Let's eliminate this conversation too. It ultimately becomes a very pressing ordeal for Chase to really show something in 2023. And the business decision that Washington will have moving forward is like, can he ever recover from a situation like this in terms of like, of course he can come back and play, but can he ever recover and be that guy that we saw coming out of college, and essentially that guy that he's shown in his rookie season too. The issue is his entire seasons, every single season he's been a part of to this point, including this current period while he's recovering from a 2021 injury, his reputation has been that of injuries. Like, he's been hurt, and it's not 100% fair on him. But in the same vein, when you think about what Chase Young is for his team, like, he's the 2020 number 2 overall pick, the first pick for Washington that year, right? But a guy who is essentially facing a lot of uphill challenges, battling injuries, right? But then you're trying to overcome the projections in which, like, people deemed him one of the greatest talents of his generation. And in his 2 seasons, he's produced 9 sacks. And that's without the context of the 2020. Like, he was hurt, okay. But also, he played in 9 games and produced 1.5 sacks. You're overcoming a lot, or trying to overcome a lot, from a rookie standpoint, and being that deemed generational talent, but then also now battling injuries throughout your career as well. He played 15 games in 2020, but remember, he had some hip issue that was in preseason, I believe, and kind of carried on into the regular season as well. He missed a random game in 2020, and we're all trying to get an understanding of what is going on with Chase Young. And again, I don't think this is a problem, right? I don't think this is a problem right now, but ultimately you're battling a narrative of possibly being injury prone. You're already trying to live up to the hype of being a generational talent, but going into year 3, where again, we look at Dre's tweet about the doctor, you're overcoming now a ruptured patella tendon and a torn ACL. And you may not be back until at the maybe even November, if not December, right? You have to understand the context here and what is going on with Chase Young. As a fan of the team, we may not even get to see this guy like at his best in 2022. So we're going to be robbed from a fan's perspective. Obviously, health is important. From a fan's perspective, we're going to be robbed of damn near 2 years worth of Chase Young. On the bright side, Chase will be back, I believe, depending on how you look around week 8. If we look shitty, they might shelf him. Hey, you're not alone in that thought. We know a guy on our side that said the same thing. Exactly, the business decisions have to be decided soon on Chase. NFL not for long. Hope Chase can get back to beast mode, but you definitely better be planning ahead. Yeah, man. And that's all I'm saying, bro. It's something we need to monitor. We're not writing the book on Chase Young here. I know y'all in the chat are not writing the book on Chase Young at all. It's just something we need to monitor, because while it's painful that we have to wait to see him get back on the field, and hopefully, fingers crossed, like a miracle, and he can come back after, those 4 weeks. I don't think he's gonna be really ready until we may not see him like return to form until 2023, and that's my guess. But we know, like, at least he won't be back until he's cleared and the testing looks good, so we can trust the doctors in that regard. But yeah, man, this is just it's an unfortunate situation. But I think the good thing is, when you look at a guy like Derwin James, we talked about Derwin, Rio did. Derwin came into the league on fire, but the next 2 seasons he missed due to injury. 2019 gone, 2020 gone. 2019 he only played 5 games, but he came back in 2021, which is his 4th season. And he came back and became an All-Pro again. He's an All-Pro in his first season as a rookie, and he came back All-Pro and made Pro Bowl in 2021. So, like, if there's any semblance of a person who can, really bounce back, a generational talent, and Chase Young can definitely do it. And Derwin James provided precedence in that it can be done. So we may just have to wait a little bit long, just like those Chargers fans waited on Derwin James. And you gotta wade through those comments calling Chase Young a bust. Look, there's opportunity. And opportunity ultimately comes down to availability. So it's hard to call a person with talent a bust if they're hurt. Like, that's not a bust. That's a person who just had an unfortunate career. It really is what it is. And hopefully that's not going to be the story for Chase Young moving forward. The fact that Anthony Barr thought the Cowboys was a better situation told me a lot of how we view publicly. Damn, I got some shit to say about Chase, but it's too much to type. Hey, well, look, you can be the last call. If you want to hop on, man, you can do it. Let's go ahead and I can give you the floor. It's all up to you. You ain't gotta hop in here for real if you don't want to. But there you go. Just in case, I'll give you a couple seconds because I'm about to close out anyway. But yeah, those are my thoughts, man. It's something to monitor. And they're gonna have to make a business decision from the standpoint of first off, extending his 5th-year option. That's the first business decision. And then secondly, do we want to extend him, or when do we extend him, or do we have to franchise him in a situation like Brian Arakpo? So Brian Arakpo is going to be another one where you're like, we're not too sure on you, but we're going to give you this 1 year to kind of prove yourself. And that boy Brian Arakpo produced 1 sack and tore a pec. He produced a sack and tore a pec. I will never forget that one game, bruh. The Giants came in and curved our ass up. And the first thing he told his coach on the sideline was, "Coach, we doing everything we could do, but these niggas just too good." He said Eli is too good. That's what he told his coach on the sideline, bruh. So, yeah, man, I'm just concerned about Chase Young in that aspect of that. He's missing a lot of time. It's not his fault. Like, he's hurt. It is what it is. But ultimately, you gotta have to understand the situation that he's into, and hopefully, things bounce back when that time comes. But yeah, let's go ahead and get up out of here after we get Alex on. So yeah, this is gonna be the last conversation. See what Alex got to say about that man, Chase Young. Let's go ahead and get him in right quick. Boom, boom. There we go. Big dog. How you feeling, Alex? Good morning, man.
Hey, happy Friday, big dog. How you feeling, bro?
I'm all right, man. Same to you, dog. Same to you. I'm all right. Happy Friday. Hey, so what's going on with Chase Young? What you got? I saved you from typing up everything, man. Typing up that paragraph, man. The floor is yours. What's going on with Chase Young?
Man, so in reference, to the comments about him being a bust, or even more so like what he's going to look like returning upon his injury, I want a lot of people to remember that first preseason game where he played against the Patriots. I remember that crazy rush that he had off the edge. Like, Chase has showed us what he's looked like when he was explosive. And if it is true that he was playing on a patella, that probably also led to an extensive injury with his ACL as well, it says a lot, because I look at the games like the Eagles game, the first game, how explosive he was getting around the edge, showed a little bit of a bend. He was making those plays. The 49ers game, after that season, we didn't really see too much of that. So how healthy was he even coming into the second season? You see what I'm saying? Like, at what point did all this transpire and happen? My good man Jalen mentioned, like, when they took a graft from one leg to another, he was like, bro, like, that's a real serious injury. And they didn't really relay any of this information to us at the time. I do think, however, with the training staff taking their time and their approach, allowing him to truly get healthy, not just in football shape, but like the leg is truly healthy, we'll be able to see some of those explosive plays that we saw early on. And maybe he can start utilizing and getting a little bit deeper into his bag, so he's not overcompensating on certain pass rushes. And I think that's probably really what just led to just a lapse in his play. But once he comes back, man, I think we'll see him build upon some of those flashes of what we saw beforehand. And that's really where I'm at with most of it.
Like, I know you mentioned the bus conversation, right, and how it's clearly premature.
Very much.
I think. So what do you make of like the entire situation with Chase from a future projection standpoint? So meaning, what can a season in which he's about to endure in its totality, him recovering from injury, him taking on, because when he comes back, whatever week that he comes back, there's going to be fans out here, whether they're irrational or rational, whatever it is, but there's going to be fans out here judging him from his very first game in terms of, can he be that guy that we looked at as the number 2 overall pick, despite the fact that he's recovering from an injury and he just came back from injury in his first regular season game. He skipped preseason, all that good stuff, whatever. But how do you take on, or how do you even implicate what's going on with Chase Young? Because next year is year 4, and they're gonna, I mean, clearly they're gonna extend them in terms of that 5th-year option. But like, how do you kind of, from a business standpoint, when do you become nervous? Like, when do you become nervous that he's not going to be like that guy that we can trust from a health standpoint, but also like the quote unquote generational talent? Although, like, personally, I don't call people generational talents, but you know, that's just kind of what he did in the public. It was a public narrative. It is what it is. So I'm gonna get the floor to you. How do you kind of navigate through the season for Chase Young and future implications on him from a commander standpoint?
I believe that you just take it with a grain of salt. You also have to trust that the eye in the sky doesn't lie. What does it look like? How is he utilizing his pass rushing moves? Are they more the same, or is he really like getting deep into his technique? You know, you mentioned Derwin James and his return, how that's something that we can use maybe as like a barometer, you know, of what someone should look like coming back. I would also even say Nick Bosa, you know, like he had his injury very, very early into his second season and his first season came back and was really, really, really explosive. I really feel that in Chase's case, I'm not expecting to come back player of the year, but I do want to see him be an integral part of this defense. I do want to see him be effective. Like, when he comes back, there should be an uptick in everyone else's production, you know? It should just look good. Is he comfortable? You know, obviously he's one of our franchise guys. Like you said, they're going to extend him, but I'm not trying to place crazy onus on him now. Let's not even start talking crazy sack numbers, you know, but I think also this injury may have humbled him in many respects, you know, because the game itself will humble, you know, having football taken away from him, and then you know how much he loves it. Like, he's going to come back hungrier than ever. And I think that's just going to add to the drive. It's going to add to the push because he's still being that effective down the sidelines. I've got all the faith. I'm not throwing everything in, you know, all my eggs in one basket, but I do feel like he'll return to form. But, like, let's just give the guy some time to just come around to being himself, you know, like, yeah. But maybe next year we can see exactly where he's at. Let's say, okay, this is the year you had a fully healthy offseason. Time to really train. You're not worried about rehab, and let's really dig in and let's see what you've got. But we'll see a semblance of that whenever you return. Maybe it's week 5, week 6, whatever may have you. As long as it's starting to look good, as long as it looks like he's comfortable, as long as he looks like he's just getting in the space of like playing like himself, what we seen in Ohio State early on when he played with it for us, then we'll be all right. But just calm the bus talk, man. Please, God. That he's not a
calm the bus talk. You heard the man, Alex. Calm the bus talk. I think one thing that's for sure when it comes to any conversation revolving around star players is that potential star players. Let's put it that way, because some people we don't know yet. Like even with Jahan Dotson, patience is not a trait that the majority of fans possess. So we're going to see a lot of problems in terms of that patience and jumping to conclusions thing. So best of luck to all of us who has patience, because it's going to be tested when Chase Young gets back, and even for this matter, Jahan Dotson as a number 1 first round pick for Washington this year, and some other pieces. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Were you watching the game this weekend?
I'll be in the crib with man. It. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna be cool, man. You know, a couple spiked lemonades on tap, man. You know, get right.
Hey, look, I feel that, bro. Hell yeah. Hey, but all right, so that's a bet, bro. I'm probably about to be at the crib with it too, man. I gotta lock in for a second. You know, I'll text you. I'm so casual, bro. I'm gonna just text you. It's a little situation going on this weekend before the game, so. Okay. High school friends, so that's why I was like, I'd rather text you. I ain't gonna put nobody's name out there. But yeah, man, handle your business, bro. I'm gonna rap to you, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuck up off of this thing so we can carry on with our day. All right, well, I'm gonna holler at you. All right, boom. So there we go, the good man, Alex. Ladies and gentlemen, while we got some people in here, last thing, man, if you are new to the Trapper Dive YouTube channel, Trapper Dive altogether, man, or if you just checking in, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. As always, it helps the show. We are not too far away from 1,000 subscribers, man. I wanted to get there before the season starts. It is not too late. But make sure we spread the word. Make sure people know what the hell is going on over here at Trap or Dive, man. So yeah, that's it, man. Appreciate everybody who checked in today. Terms of schedule next week. Monday and Wednesday will be around. No show Friday. No show the following Monday. I'll remind you all tomorrow. I'm going on vacation, bro. We got to get that vacation in before the season starts. We got to do it. Everybody got to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my vacation in next week. And tap out of everything Commanders. I'll be on Twitter, right? But outside of that, I ain't doing shit with Commanders. I ain't doing nothing. He said he's cooler than cool. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna leave that up there for a second. But listen, man, appreciate everybody checking in. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with my day, man. Y'all enjoy the game tomorrow. No live stream after the game. The fellas will be back Tuesday with the Trap or Dive podcast. I'll be back Monday with the Trap or Dive morning show. So yeah, y'all be safe. Enjoy y'all day. Enjoy y'all weekend. We out of here.